Day 19, Patriarchs, Genesis 37, Job 27-28, Proverbs 3 verses 25-27. Let's begin. Genesis 37. Now Jacob lived in the land of Canaan, where his father sojourned. And these are his generations. Joseph, when he was 16 years old, was pasturing the flock with his brothers, when he was still a boy. And he was with the sons of Bilhah and Zilpah, the wives of his father. And he accused his brothers to their father of a most sinful crime. Now Israel loved Joseph above all his sons, because he had conceived him in his old age. And he made him a tunic, woven of many colors. Then his brothers, seeing that he was loved by his father more than all his other sons, hated him, and they were not able to say anything peacefully to him. Then it also happened that he recounted the vision of a dream to his brothers, for which reason a greater hatred began to be nurtured. And he said to them, "Listen to my dream that I saw. I thought we were binding sheaves in the field. And my sheaf seemed to rise up and stand, and your sheaves, standing in a circle, reverenced my sheaf." His brothers responded, "Would you be our king? Or will we be subject to your dominion?" Therefore, this matter of his dreams and words provided kindling to their envy and hatred. Likewise, he saw another dream, which he explained to his brothers, saying, "I saw by a dream, as if the sun, and the moon, and 11 stars were reverencing me." And when he had related this to his father and brothers, his father rebuked him, and he said, "What does it mean to you, this dream that you have seen? Should I and your mother, and your brothers reverence you upon the earth?" Therefore, his brothers were envious of him. Yet truly, his father considered the matter silently. And while his brothers were lodging at Shechem, pasturing their father's flocks, Israel said to him, "Your brothers are pasturing the sheep at Shechem. Come, I will send you to them." And when he answered, "I am ready," he said to him, "Go, and see if everything is prospering with your brothers and the cattle, and report to me what is happening." So, having been sent from the valley of Hebron, he arrived at Shechem. And a man found him wandering in a field, and he asked him what he was seeking. So he responded, "I seek my brothers. Tell me where they pasture the flocks." And the man said to him, "They have withdrawn from this place. But I heard them saying, 'Let us go to Dothan.'" Therefore, Joseph continued on after his brothers, and he found them at Dothan. And when they had seen him from afar, before he approached them, they decided to kill him. And they said one to another, "Behold, the dreamer approaches. Come, let us kill him and cast him into the old cistern. And let us say, 'An evil wild beast has devoured him.' And then it will become apparent what his dreams will do for him." But Reuben, on hearing this, strove to free him from their hands, and he said, "Do not take away his life, nor shed blood. But throw him into this cistern, which is in the wilderness, and so keep your hands harmless." But he said this, wanting to rescue him from their hands so as to return him to his father. And so, as soon as he came to his brothers, they very quickly stripped him of his tunic, which was ankle length and woven of many colors. And they cast him into an old cistern, which held no water. And sitting down to eat bread, they saw some Ishmaelites, travelers coming from Gilead, with their camels, carrying spices, and resin, and oil of myrrh into Egypt. Therefore, Judah said to his brothers, "What will it profit us, if we kill our brother and conceal his blood? It is better that he be sold to the Ishmaelites, and then our hands will not be defiled. For he is our brother and our flesh." His brothers agreed to his words. And when the Midianite merchants were passing by, they drew him from the cistern, and they sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. And these led him into Egypt. And Reuben, returning to the cistern, did not find the boy. And rending his garments, he went to his brothers and said, "The boy is not present, and so where shall I go?" Then they took his tunic, and they dipped it in the blood of a young goat, which they had killed. Sending those who carried it to their father, and they said, "We found this. See whether it is the tunic of your son or not." And when the father acknowledged it, he said, "It is the tunic of my son. An evil wild beast has eaten him, a beast has devoured Joseph." And tearing his garments, he was clothed in haircloth, mourning his son for a long time. Then, when all of his sons gathered together to ease their father's sorrow, he was not willing to accept consolation, but he said, I will descend in mourning to my son in the underworld. And while he persevered in weeping, the Midianites in Egypt sold Joseph to Potiphar, a eunuch of Pharaoh, instructor of the soldiers. Job 27:28. Job also added to this, using figures of speech, and he said, As God lives, who has taken away my judgment, and the Almighty, who has led my soul to bitterness. As long as my breath remains in me and the breath of God remains in my nostrils, my lips will not speak iniquity, nor will my tongue devise lies. Far be it from me that I should judge you to be right, for until I expire, I will not withdraw from my innocence. I will not forsake my justification, which I have just begun to grasp, for my heart does not find blame for me in my whole life. Let the impious be as my enemy, and the sinful as my adversary. For what hope is there for the hypocrite, if he greedily plunders and God does not free his soul? Will God pay attention to his cry, when anguish overcomes him? Or will he take delight in the Almighty and call upon God at all times? I will teach you through the hand of God what the Almighty holds, and I will not conceal it. Behold, you know all this, and so why do you speak vain things without a reason? This is the portion of the impious man with God, and the inheritance of the violent, which they will receive from the Almighty. If his sons should happen to increase, they will be for the sword, and his grandsons will not be satisfied with bread. Whatever will remain of him will be buried in the ruins, and his widows will not weep. If he will amass silver as if it were dirt and fabricate garments, as if they were clay, then yes, he will gather, but the just will be clothed with it, and the innocent will divide the silver. He has built his house like a moth, and he has made a makeshift shelter like a sentry. When he falls asleep, the rich man will leave him with nothing, he will open his eyes and find nothing. Destitution will surround him like water, a storm will overwhelm him in the night. A burning wind will pick him up and carry him away, and like a whirlwind, it will rush him from his place. And it will hurl over him and will not spare him, fleeing from its power, he will go into exile. He will clasp his hands over himself, and he will hiss at himself, while considering his situation. Silver has its fissures where it is first found, and gold has a place where it is melted. Iron is taken from the earth, and ore, unbound by heat, is turned into brass. He has established a time for darkness, and he has settled on an end for all things, as well as for the stone that is in the gloom and shadow of death. The burning separates a pilgrim people from those who have been forgotten by the feet of the destitute man, and from the unapproachable. The land, where bread appeared in its place, has been destroyed by fire. Its stones are embedded with sapphires, and its soil with gold. The bird does not know its path, nor has the eye of the vulture beheld it. The sons of merchants have not walked there, nor has the lioness traveled through it. He has stretched out his hand to the rocks, he has overturned the foundations of the mountains. He has cut rivers through the rocks, and his eye has seen all precious things. The depths of rivers he has also examined, and he has brought hidden things into the light. But, in truth, where is wisdom to be found, and where is the place of understanding? Man does not know its price, nor is it found in the land of those who live in sweetness. The abyss declares, "It is not in me." And the sea says, "It is not with me." The finest gold will not be paid for it, nor will silver be weighed in exchange for it. It will not be compared with the dyed colors of India, nor with the very costly stone sardonyx, nor with the sapphire. Neither gold nor crystal will be its equal, either will vessels of gold be fitted for it. The exalted and the eminent will not be remembered in comparison with it. Yet wisdom is drawn out of concealment. The topaz of Ethiopia will not be equal to it, nor will it be compared to the purest dyes. So then, where does wisdom begin, and where is the place of understanding? It has been hidden from the eyes of all living things, just as the birds of the heavens escape notice. Perdition and death have said, "With our ears we have heard its fame." God understands its way, and he knows its location. For he beholds the limits of the world, and he looks upon all things that are under heaven. He created a counterweight for the winds, and he suspended the waters to measure them. At that time, he gave a law to the rain and a path to the resounding storms. Then he saw and explained it, and he made ready and examined it. And he said to man, Behold the fear of the Lord? Such is wisdom. And to withdraw from evil, this is understanding. Proverbs 3 verses 25 through 27. Do not fear unexpected terror, nor the power of the impious falling upon you. For the Lord will be at your side, and he will guard your feet, so that you may not be seized. Do not prevent him who is able from doing good. When you are able, do good yourself too.